Happy Monday again. Here we are. Today we're going to talk mostly about final exams. I can't actually believe we made it through a whole semester of this, and here we are. So, first of all, just a quick note. I sent messages out this morning. If you did not take your quiz with us on Friday, then that needs to be taken care of. I think pretty much everybody here did. We will go over that tomorrow. So I did put those grades in, and most of you did pretty well. So really this week is all about finals. I want to talk in general about finals, and then we're going to specifically focus on speaking finals. And today I'm going to give you probably more time to work individually. And then tomorrow and Wednesday, there's going to be a lot of time to work as a group or with a partner so you can practice. So quick general overview is, if you have not done finals week with us before, please make sure you're listening. If you have at North Central, it's not that different than usual. It's just obviously virtual. So next week is officially finals week. Okay. So next week, let's see, your final, actually did switch these. I think it's on the last day. So you guys are going to be with me last Thursday in the morning. Typically you'll have 2 finals a day. Except for Monday when you just have 1. Hold on one second. I'm gonna yell at my kids. Hi, I'm back. Okay. So what was I saying? Finals. Monday, you'll have 1 final. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you have 2 finals each. So you will have me on Thursday. I will talk more about that later in the week. But that will be like, there will be some listening sections, some reading sections, some short answer sections. That'll all be written. So what we need to focus on right now this week is the speaking part. So because it is a language and we want you to be able to speak Spanish, that is part of your exam as well. So the good news is we're going to tell you what the questions are and give you some time to practice and prepare. So I will say, before I go over the details with you, this is the type of final where every year I have A and B students who don't prepare very well and end up with a C or a D on their final. And then I also, on the other side of it, have like C and D students, even F students, do amazingly well because they prepare and they practice. And so that being said, I want you to make sure you prepare and practice so that you do as well on this as possible. Some of you are in a situation where you need to pass this final, to pass this class and stay with us second semester and get your credit. So you need to do everything in your power to make sure that you are as prepared to do well as possible. So that being said, I am going to share the document with you that explains how the speaking final will be set up. You have access to this file under current lesson for today. I've attached it under number 1. I think I also put it under class resources. If I haven't yet, I will. So you can always look for it there. But I am going to go ahead and share my screen with you. So you can follow along. If you've already opened it up, that is fine too. Let me see, where did I put it? It's not that. All right. So let's talk it through, make sure you understand the setup. Here we go. For the speaking portion of your final exam, you will be presenting answers to one of these groups of questions to me. All right. So if you go down here, there are 4 sets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. You are going to present answers to one of those. You need to prepare all of them because you do not know which group you will get until it is time to take the exam. Speaking exams will be done in class this week on Thursday and Friday. You will be in a breakout room with one other person and me. You will ask the other person the question group I tell you to ask, right? So say I've got Cindy and Caleb together. I'm like, Cindy, ask Caleb questions number 1 from set 1. All right. So she would go through and ask these questions one at a time, and he would answer them. Then I'd be like, okay, Caleb, ask Cindy set 3. So then he would go through and ask set 3. You will be able to see the questions. Those are not memorized. The answers are memorized. Okay, so it says you will need to know how to pronounce the questions, so you should practice saying them aloud. Your answers will need to be memorized. I will be grading you on pronunciation, comprehensibility and expression of your ideas, grammatical accuracy, and risk-taking in your answer. I will deduct points if you are attempting to read your answers. Okay, you may read the questions. The answers need to come from your brain. All right, so then we've got these questions, which we will look at in detail here in just a second, but I just want you to understand the overview, and then I also want to show you the rubric, and then I will stop for questions. All right, so those are what they look like. Let me go ahead and pull up my rubric. And I will share that. That is also on your current lesson, so you have access to that as well. All right, so it's kind of what I just talked about, but let me just let you see what the 5s are. So vocab is accurate and appropriate. Okay, no errors or hesitation. Now, if you pause for a second, that's fine, but it just should sound like you know what you're saying. Okay, grammar is accurate and comprehensible. So mostly this semester we've worked on preterite and imperfect. So I will be listening for preterite and imperfect endings. Next up, pronunciation. Okay, I should be able to understand you. Okay, if you are not a native speaker, I wouldn't expect you to sound like a native speaker. So don't feel pressure on that end. You just need to make sure you have practiced and you've asked questions if you don't know how to pronounce something. Fluid. All right, now again, you can pause. You can think about things for a second. All right, I don't expect you to, okay, just like you would normally. You can take a second. It just shouldn't be super choppy. Like you shouldn't say, yo, blah, blah. Okay, etc. So it needs to flow a little bit. Okay. Then the last part is kind of it says completely relevant, informative response, appropriate level of detail and creativity. So this is kind of where I reward you if you go a little above and beyond. So a basic answer to my question is fine. A complete sentence in Spanish. If you can go a little above and beyond, like you can use a little extra new vocab word, or you can give me 2 sentences instead of 1, or you can tell me 2 things you used to do instead of 1 thing you used to do. The more you can include, that adds to your level of detail and creativity. Okay, so you will be rewarded if you can give me a little bit more than just a very basic answer. Okay, so I will give you some examples of that when we look at these questions here in a second. Okay, so we are going to go back now to look at the questions in just a minute. First, I will take questions. No, I am busy. Go eat your lunch.
No, I finished.
Okay, then go play somewhere else. Bye. No. Xana, go ahead.
So, like, if we have almost an A- in the class, and if we get like a A or B, will that bring our grade down or up?
Well, so whatever you have, if you get something better than that, it will bring it up. Now, you're not going to go from like an F to an A. Like usually, I mean, I tell people like if you have a C and you do really well, you could look at a B. If you have a C and you do terrible, you'd look at a D. So usually it's like 1 step up or 1 step down. And it might even be like from a, you know, like more of a C to a C plus or a C to a C minus. So it doesn't have a huge effect because it's worth 20% of your final, the whole thing. So, I mean, anything, you know, if you're sitting at an A minus and you get an A, it will raise it. If you're sitting at an A minus and you get a B plus, it'll lower it. But chances are not very much. So as long as you're pretty much within the range, you know, if you have an A minus and you get anywhere between an A and a B plus, it's probably not going to have a huge effect, right? Because I mean, and that's the point of the grade, right? It kind of reflects kind of how you've been doing. But like I said, on this, especially like if you prepare yourself for this, you can definitely, everybody has the ability to do well if you put in the time. Any other questions before we look at some of the questions?
This is
kind of off topic a bit, but my Wi-Fi is gonna change, so I don't know if I'll get disconnected or not.
Okay. If you if I do lose you, Alejandro, try and come back. If you don't, if you're not able to come back, then just start working on these questions. So what I want to do with the rest of the period is I want to start on the questions. I want to do a few together so that you can see what I expect. And then I'm going to let you leave the Zoom and just kind of go work on these for the rest of the period today. And then tomorrow I'll put you in groups so you can work together and try and start practicing. All right, any other quick general questions before I pull up a couple of them and we can look at them together? Okay, my daughter has a question, so I'm in mute for a second while I pull this back up. Yes. Yes. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at a couple of these together. And then, like I said, let's go through them. Let's write them down. Let's answer some questions and see what we can piece together here. So why don't you figure out where you're going to write these down? So grab, I don't know if you want to do it on a separate piece of paper or if you want to do it, if you want to type it out. So figure out where you're going to start writing these down so you can write them as we go through them. Yes. Okay. So let's look at set one and let's just kind of go through some. So you'll notice as you're looking at these, in each question group, you will have some imperfect and some preterite. So you need to pay attention. If the question is in the preterite, the answer should be in the preterite. If the question's in the imperfect, then the answer should be in the imperfect. So let's just kind of skip around a little bit. Let's start with set one. ¿Qué hacías cuando eras niño or niña? All right. So first off, you got to figure out what that means. Well, how do you do that? Well, either you know what it means or you look up what it means or you pull out your vocab related to imperfect and you can look it up. But this is kind of just a general question. So what am I asking? Somebody want to tell us real quick? ¿Qué hacías cuando eras niño or niña? What do I want to know? Evelyn, what am I asking?
You're asking what you used to do when you were a kid?
Yeah, what you used to do when you were a kid. So I don't know what you used to do. You come up with whatever you used to do. I used to dance. I used to sing. I used to play with my Barbies. I used to watch SpongeBob. I used to, the sky's the limit, play basketball, whatever you used to do. Now, a basic answer would be one thing. You can give me 2 or 3 things. Is that better? Of course, right? At a minimum, I expect you to give me a sentence in Spanish using the imperfect, telling me one thing you used to do. So could I get a quick example? Could somebody tell me how you could potentially answer that question? And write that down, by the way. If you're going to forget what that means, write it down. It's one less thing you need to look up on your own. All right, who wants to tell me what something like that might sound like? We did this exact question when we were talking about the imperfect. Super basic, super open-ended question. I don't understand why I don't have everybody ready to volunteer and answer. Still waiting. Hello? Is there anyone out there? Hello? Hello? I actually just checked to make sure I wasn't still on mute. How is no one answering my question? ¿Qué hacías cuando eras niño or niña? What did you used to do when you were a kid? Okay, there are 20 people out there. How is no one answering me? Cindy, thank you.
Yo iba al parque.
Sure. Yo iba al parque. I used to go to the park. Hey, you come up with your sentence. I used to play with my Barbies. I used to play basketball. I used to, like I said, watch SpongeBob. Whatever. Okay, I would be looking for an answer using the imperfect tense. All right, I'd like to do a couple more. If it's going to be like pulling teeth, then I'll just let you guys work on these on your own. All right, I would try ¿Qué comiste ayer? So the second one here in set 1. Again, you are writing these down so that you have them. Somebody want to tell me, what does that mean? ¿Qué comiste? Xana?
What did you eat yesterday?
Yeah, what did you eat? So this time you'll notice it's yesterday and it's in the preterite. So I would expect a preterite answer. Okay, so tell me I ate whatever. Again, one thing, or if you can do several things, or you could tell me who you ate with or where you ate. Those things add to your sentence. I'll give you an example, like to add on to it once you give me one. So can somebody give me a basic answer? Tell me what you ate yesterday.
Yo comí papas fritas.
Okay. Thanks, Caleb. So yo comí papas fritas. So what I would be listening for is that verb. I'll write it out for you. So he said, yo comí papas fritas. And again, you should be writing these down as you go. So now you have 2 questions either answered or translated or hopefully both. So if I wanted to do really, really well with that question, I would add to it. I would say, yo comí papas fritas con mis amigos en un restaurante. I didn't make it super hard, but can you see how that's a little more extra above and beyond than just yo comí papas fritas, right? Nothing wrong with yo comí papas fritas, but the more you can give me, the better. Okay. Yo comí papas fritas en un restaurante con mis amigos, fueron deliciosos, right? I don't know. So they were good, or I don't know, something, just anything you can add to it. The more you can add, the better. Okay. All right. It's not extra credit, it just adds to your score. Okay. So if you give me basic answers for every single question and they're fine, they're accurate, you can answer them. You can look at that rubric that I just showed you. I would guess it would probably be a B. If you gave me excellent answers, right, to each one, and they were all really good and they were grammatically correct and your pronunciation was okay on all of them, then that would probably be the difference between an A and a B. Okay, so if you give me super basic, it's fine, but you probably wouldn't get full credit in that last category of like a detailed and creative response. Okay, somebody just asked about kind of how to gauge that. Okay, so let's see. Did 2 from set 1. Let's do 2 more. Let's do 2 more from set 2 just to kind of mix it up. So let's go down here to set 2. Oh, sorry. I was looking at the wrong one. ¿Qué comías mucho? En a qué hora te acostaste anoche? So you got 2 different questions here. We'll look at both of these. First one I'm seeing imperfect. Second one I'm seeing preterite. So could somebody translate? What does that first one mean? ¿Qué comías mucho? What am I asking there? It's another comer one, kind of like this one up here, but a little different. Cindy?
What did you eat a lot?
What did you used to eat a lot? Okay. So again, I'm not specifying like when you were 5 or 10 or just kind of when you were a kid. What you used to eat a lot? I don't know. Maybe you used to eat a lot of ice cream. Maybe you used to eat a lot of chips. Maybe you used to eat a lot of, I don't know, something random like blueberries or something. So somebody want to tell me, what would that one look like? How would we answer that? Looking for an imperfect verb of comer. Thanks, Caleb. I don't know where everybody is today. I
Yo
can't
com-
help you if you don't volunteer. Go ahead, Caleb.
Yo comía la pizza.
Sure. Yo comía la pizza. I used to eat a lot of pizza. Now, that is good. That's pretty basic answer. Again, nothing wrong with it, but short and sweet. And pizza is pizza. So you didn't, nothing too hard or fancy there. So again, maybe instead of just pizza, you want to take the time to come up with another food that's a little more challenging, that shows me a little more. Or come up with 2 or 3 foods, or do a food and a drink, or tell me I used to like to eat pizza at Chuck E. Cheese or whatever. You know, again, embellish it. Give me a little more. All right, last question we're going to do together, and then I'm going to give you some time. ¿A qué hora te acostaste anoche? What are we saying there? ¿A qué hora te acostaste anoche? All right, Caleb, we got to move on. So go ahead. Thanks, man.
What time did you go to bed last night?
Yeah, what time did you go to bed last night? So take this verb, te acostaste, and put it in the yo form. So you're going to change that te to a what, clase? It's been a while. It's a good way to review this too. What's the te change to in the yo form? Somebody unmute, just say it real quick.
Me.
May, thank you. And then you take acostaste and put that in the yo form. What's the yo form ending for an AR verb? Acoste. Thanks. All right. So something like this. Me acosté a las, I don't know, what time you went to bed last night? You tell me. Okay, if you want to give me a reason, that adds more to it. Porque yo vi la televisión, because I watch TV. I don't know. Give me a little more.
Me acosté a las 11 porque estaba en mi teléfono.
Sure, because I was on my phone. Sounds great, Alejandro. Gracias. So again, that's what I mean. Basic answer, me acosté a las 11. Add a little more, give me the por qué. So you do what your comfort level is. If you can only just barely get through a basic answer, just give me a basic answer. All right. But if you do feel like you can give me a little more, add in some vocab, add in a couple things instead of just one thing, then do that. Okay. So that's the idea. So we did 4 as an example there. Hopefully you wrote those down. Here's what I would like you to do for the rest of the period and for homework tonight. I would like you to go through and make sure you know what these mean. That means I would write them down. Okay. The last thing you want is for somebody to ask you a question and you don't even know what it means. So first step is write down what it means. If you can't figure it out, I think we all know Google Translate's out there. This would be a great time to use it. Okay. Then you come up with an answer. My suggestion is keep it simple. Here's where if you Google too much, it's going to backfire because you don't want to have to practice or memorize something that's too fancy. Okay, keep it simple. Give me a good answer. Most of the time you use the answer, the verb that's in the question, you use that in your answer. Okay, so you do not need to make these overly complicated. If you feel like you can add something to it, do that, but don't, add in a bunch of words that you don't even know. All right, so do you understand what you need to do to start preparing for this? Okay, like I said, use your time, look them all up, figure out what they mean, start putting together sentences. Tomorrow, we'll do a couple together and hopefully you'll be more prepared to share because you all have already done them. And then I'll put you in some groups so you can work together and start practicing them out loud. By Wednesday, they should all be done. So all you're doing is practicing them and practicing them and practicing them. I'm gonna put you in a bunch of groups like I would if we were in the classroom and just kind of keep you moving and keep you practicing them. Okay, again, these exams start Thursday and Friday. All right, any questions for me? You know what you got to do? All right, well, let's pick up here again tomorrow. So use the rest of the class and tonight to work on these questions. Hasta luego, unless you have a question for me.